Hey everyone, welcome to the Dark Sliders podcast with Doug and Brad.
Hi.
So we're doing this a little bit different this week. Tokyo Game Show is this week, and Sony is doing their big press conference on Wednesday. So we're going to kind of record in two chunks this week. But first, Doug and I mean just like 5 minutes ago, finished Metal Gear Solid 5. So if you were listening last week, I convinced him to buy this, which means you beat this game in about 6, 7 days.
Yeah, I love this game.
So how does it feel to have sunk 45 hours into this, in addition to your job and whatever else you may happen to be doing?
I literally sat in my apartment for the weekend and just played Metal Gear Solid. Like, I probably put in like 30 hours this weekend, which is something I haven't done. Actually, I said this for my Bloodborne review, which is
Yes,
something I
you did.
haven't done since Bloodborne. I guess just to start off this review, just to see how it's gonna kind of go. I finished the main story. I'm gonna keep it as vague as possible in that I finished the main story. There's more stuff extra, but I just did the main plot. Took me 45 hours to beat, and Metal Gear Solid 5 is proof that you can have the best gameplay on the planet and still not be the best game. Because I guess we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
So, all right. So my question is you were really hesitant to get this.
Yeah.
So being so hesitant, did it actually live up to what you thought, or because you were like like when we talked about this last week, your exact words were depending on how you talk about this for the next 20 minutes is going to determine if I go out and buy this.
Yeah. And actually, what made you say the reason I bought this game is because I think you were describing a mission and you said something like you have to like scope out the area and try to figure out how to get into the base, and you have all these choices and decisions. And the game that reminded me of was Crisis 1,
Yeah,
which is literally one of my favorite games ever. And just on that, I bought the game. Was just that sentence, basically, or that small description of a mission. And in that regard, just saying strict gameplay, the game's amazing. It's the best game I've ever played.
yeah, I will
Um,
agree with that. I will tell you, I'm about 10, 15 hours in and nowhere near the end.
yeah.
And I will agree with that. The gameplay is crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, and the thing I really like about the gameplay, I'm gonna probably reference Bloodborne a few times when I'm talking about this, is that it's I would say it's a game that's made me think more than any other game ever, except for Bloodborne. Um, because the game, while it gives you a bunch of options, you basically have to execute those options. So you have to first think about what you want to do, and then once you have thought out your plan, every plan that you think of, you can do.
Yes,
You just need to
absolutely.
be good at executing it, which is kind of a hit or miss.
Yeah,
So it kind of feels like a puzzle game plus an action game because you really do if you really can take the time to sit there and figure out your path as you're sitting there looking over a base, which way you want to go in, what weapons you want to use, and every plan you think up will work. It's really sometimes your plans may not be very good plans, so but if you execute them well, then they work out. It's kind of funny, like sometimes, like when I played a mission, like a single mission would take me like literally a half hour to an hour to beat, and then I just go back and replay that mission, kind of knowing what I knew. I could beat the mission in 5 minutes, like no problem.
yeah. I did that a couple times when I got game over screens where I would go through and it'd take like 45 minutes. I'd be sitting there planning stuff out, like, and then all of a sudden I'd get shot or something, and then I go back and go, all right. So if I just go there and I sneak around that guy, I'm done. And sure enough, like half the time you can finish it. So it is interesting how much planning goes into it. I also love the fact, and this seems different than other Metal Gear Solid games, that I can sit there and plan for like 5, 10 minutes, like exactly how I'm going to go, and then when I screw it up, I
Uh
can
huh.
still just shoot my way out of it.
See, I never did that. You can do that sometimes, but I'm the kind of person that if I got seen, I got to restart.
Oh God.
I play Metal Gear Solid games like the same. Like honestly, since Metal Gear Solid 2, I played every single Metal Gear Solid game the same way. I trank pretty much everybody I
Yep.
can. And this game like really highly encourages you to trank people and not kill people, because of the mother base stuff. Basically, I go and I seriously the entire game I use the starting weapons and nothing else.
Yeah, I haven't really updated my weapons at all either. I'm nowhere near. I mean, obviously I'm not done, but I'm still using the initial set.
there's no real prerogative to try out other weapons, especially with the shotguns. The shotguns don't make any sense to me for this game because they're just loud and you have to be really close to people. So if you got up close enough to a guy to use a shotgun, you can do something else. Like you shouldn't be shooting them with a shotgun. Grenade launchers kind of make sense sometimes, but there's like hundreds of weapons for some reason. I just never used any of them. I just kept upgrading whatever my current weapon was.
Yeah.
And that's basically all I use. It's just like the most advanced upgrade of the snooze pistol and the shrink gun, I guess, and the most advanced one of the silenced rifle. And that was it, the entire game. And it worked out just fine. I really like those weapons. You get really, really good at them as you play along. I guess the thing I can't talk about is the things I was disappointed with are almost exclusively related to the story. So I'm trying to like really trying to tiptoe around spoilers. So I really don't want to spoil the story for anybody because I know a lot of people. The story really, really matters to people who play Metal Gear Solid.
Please don't, because some of us are nowhere near done, and some of us would be really irritated if someone was talking on a podcast and they happen to be discussing things that shouldn't happen until later.
I won't spoil it. I promise I will not. I will not tell anything regarding the story. The one thing I will say about the story is the story is really, really poorly paced, which is weird for a Metal Gear Solid game, especially like coming off of Metal Gear Solid 4. I think that Kojima got kind of scared because everybody who played Metal Gear Solid 4 was saying, "Oh, you put way too many cutscenes in this. There's way too much story." So he basically just like cut it all down. And then there's some like few key cutscenes that are really, really well done. I actually really love the cutscenes. But they're too few and far between. There's really not many cutscenes in this game. But when they come up, they're usually like these really, really cool, bombastic scenes that are really, really wonderful. I just don't think that the game lives up to the opening.
You mean the initial scene of Snake in the hospital after he wakes up from the coma?
Yeah, and that's all we're going to say about the opening in case people really haven't played it.
That's on the back of the box. That's on the back of the box. You're okay.
Yeah, and they've been showing that since they first announced the game as like just the Phantom Pain was that's kind of it starts with Snake. That opening, the story never lives up to the amazingness of that opening, and I don't know why. I really don't know what happened along development. Like in the back of my head when I was playing this, I kept thinking about the issues that they were having with this game, with like Kojima basically getting fired in the middle of at the end of production, them having like wrap stuff up quickly, and the poor quality of. We talked about it in a few podcasts before. But it's really clear that this game is kind of unfinished. But because I think what happened was because they basically knew they couldn't tell the story they wanted to tell, at the very, very least, they could make the gameplay the best they've ever done. And in that regard, it absolutely succeeds. And it, like I said before, this is the best playing game I've ever played in my life. And it's so, so, so much fun sneaking into bases. Like, I never got bored during the game because every time you find a new base, you can attack it a different way. You can use I didn't use different ammo sets, but I didn't use different equipment set, different guns, but I used different equipment.
Yeah.
So besides like the hundreds of guns, you get about 50 different items you can use. These are like decoys to distract guards. You can use C4. You can use grenades. You can use just a bunch of different kind of like side items and weapons, and you can get really, really creative with them, which I really appreciated. And kind of like I was saying before, like any plan you have will probably work. So I'm trying to think of an example. There was one time I had to get a truck out of an area, and it was kind of being guarded by a bunch of people. I didn't really know what to do. And then I was thinking, I wonder if I could just Fulton the truck and just like not actually attack anybody, just sneak up and Fulton the truck away. And you can absolutely do that. It worked. Like I was just like, holy shit, that actually worked. And there's a guy in the truck, and I also got that guy to bring to Mother Base.
Bonus points.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, oh, wow, that worked. And then sometimes you'll see a bunch of guys like, I wonder if I go interrogate that guy, maybe he'll give me some information, and then I can actually go in and go into the base and find out exactly where I need to. And that actually works.
I was playing it about an hour ago, and I just actually had something exactly like that happen. I was like mission 10 because I'm nowhere near the end at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was right when you get to another area and you couldn't speak the language, so you had to like track this interpreter around and find a prisoner and do all this other stuff. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the hell I needed to do. So I just grabbed the interpreter, folded him out, and then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, we, like 5 minutes later, like, oh yeah, we recruited him, he's now part of the team, you can interrogate guys now. So then I just ran up and interrogated somebody, like, oh yeah, he's here.
Oh.
Which is like totally the mission objective is to follow this guy and figure out where to go. It's just like, if I just grab him, take him back, now I can learn the language, now I can interrogate this guy, and he can tell me where to go, and I don't have to follow anybody.
That's really funny. I love that mission. Actually, the mission you just described because I actually followed him the whole way. So I guess I want to describe the way I did that. I did that mission. So I guess we're gonna spoil mission 10. I guess it's not like a main story mission.
No, it's somewhere around, yeah, it's somewhere between 10 and 15. There's really no plot that, to me at least, seems relevant to the overall story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess for people who haven't played Metal Gear Solid 5, how the missions are kind of set up. There's main missions, and some of them are story related, and some of them are just kind of like side story related, and then they all kind of like, and then they like accumulate to like one big main mission. So like sometimes like the small missions like we're talking about is the one where you have to follow. You just have to get an interpreter, and that's it. And there's no real story aspect to it. But how I did that one was I followed him, and what he is, he's interrogating other prisoners. And as soon as they would finish interrogating a prisoner, he'd leave, and then I'd kill all the guards or sleep, make tranquilize all the guards that were surrounding the prisoner, and then take the prisoner out. So he's interrogating like three or four prisoners. So I kept following around and taking these prisoners, and all these prisoners, if you do that, actually really help you at Mother Base. Like they'll have like some like special skill or something like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of rewards you for doing that.
Oops.
But what happened was I got stuck, and like he wouldn't follow any more prisoners. Like what the hell's going on?
In the house, right? He was like in a house, and him and that other guy stood in the house.
Well, yeah, but
Because that's
yeah,
what I got to, and then I just said, "Well, screw it, I'll just trank him and see what happens." And then nothing happened, so I ended up just killing myself and restarting, and that's why I just decided to go through my second plan.
Yeah. Okay. How to finish that mission is when you Fulton out a prisoner, they say that they will question the final prisoner at night. So I found a safe place, used the Phantom cigar to turn it to night, and then I followed them to the house where they were going to interrogate the person at night.
Yeah, see,
And
totally missed that part.
no, but I'm saying, but you still had an enjoyable mission. Like you did it a different way, but like you can, but you kind of gamed the missions, which I think is kind of cool. Like
Yeah,
if you sort of like, you can sort of cancel out parts of the mission if you just get to guys really quick. Like let's say a guy is supposed to get into a truck and then drive away. You can get to him before it gets to the truck, so you don't actually have like a cool chase scene or whatever, but you complete the mission.
yeah. You can almost like outthink the game.
Yeah, and I really like that. But you have to outthink it. Like it's not like the solution is always obvious. It's not obvious that you could just Fulton out. You actually had to think about like I wonder if I can just Fulton out the guy and then interrogate other people to figure out where he is, and
Yeah.
then that worked. So I like that this game like it not only gives you options, it allows you to be creative with those options and however you choose to do it. Yeah, and the buddy system is really cool. I'm not gonna spoil who the buddies are, but you get more than one buddy, and each one has a completely different can change a mission entirely. I guess the first buddy you start with is the horse. That's not really a spoiler. You ride a horse. They showed in
Yeah.
commercials and everything like that. So you ride a horse. I actually remember one mission I was getting really frustrated with. I just took the horse and like barreled in to the base. But what was happening as guys would see me, I get that like alert phase. I forgot that the reflex save or
Yeah.
whatever it
The
is.
like
So
slow down, bullet time, whatever you want to call it.
yeah. So what happens in this game, as opposed to different Metal Gear Solids, is that if you get seen, time slows down. And if you hit L2, Snake will auto aim at the guy, and you have like a split second to kill him. So what happened was I just barreled my horse through, and I just kept killing guys that way. And I never got seen. I killed like six or seven guys. I'm going through riding on a horse as time is slowing down, like popping off headshots. And I got the guy and like just ran right back out. And the whole mission took me like 3 minutes. And like before, it was taking me like a half hour to walk through the base. But yeah, basically you can kind of create your own difficulty with this game too. Like if you want to go in all sneaky and whatever else, the game is difficult and it's classic Metal Gear. If you want to shoot your way in, like Brad was saying, you can do that. You put your gun to shoot your way out. I don't know. This game is just so effing incredible. Just the gameplay though, it just falters in so many other ways that it just could not. It's never
So
gonna be. It's not probably won't even win Game of the Year. I don't think it's gonna win Game of the
so
Year.
here's my question for you. If the gameplay's that good,
Yeah.
and I would agree with that. I'm curious because again, you said it was poorly paced, and again, like 14 hours in, I really couldn't tell you the point of this story other than Snake wants revenge. Which I guess so. Without getting too specific and spoilery, what was kind of your main disappointment with the story?
Um, it's it is the worst story of all the Metal Gear Solids, easily, and it's the worst story in that it's just not very interesting.
Okay.
That's its major fault. Because I mean, you can say whatever you want about Metal Gear Solid games and their stories. Like their stories, like just in general, they're not very good. They're just usually just really weird and confusing.
Yep.
But at the very least, they're interesting. You're like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. What's going on?
Yeah.
And they're really. And I remember reading this in reviews that people were like, "There's no real like Metal Gear moment in this game," and they're right. It's just because the story just kind of ambles along, and the characters aren't very strong. The characters are pretty one note, and that one note is pretty monotone. Like Ocelot, like think of Ocelot like in all the other games. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, he's like a double, triple crossing agent. You're
Yep.
never really sure what side he's on. Metal Gear Solid. Just think about Revolver Ocelot. That's a good place to start. Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 1 is like this really crazy gun wielding guy.
Yep.
In 2, he's like an insane psychopath. And 4, he's like this genius. In this one, he's just a guy.
Who
Like
talks to
there's
you on cassette
nothing.
tapes?
But even so, like there's nothing. I can't describe Ocelot in a sentence.
Like you
I'm
can't pick
having a
out an
hard time.
interesting character trait, basically. He has no
Yeah,
like
exactly.
defining trait. He's just there.
He's just there, and like it's kind of with all these characters. Like these characters have like sort of like one note. So like one of the other characters, he's just an angry person, and he just stays an angry person the whole game, and like nothing changes. You don't really feel fulfilled or anything. Oh, one character I do want to talk about because there's a lot of controversy about is Quiet. Um, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory or anything like that. This character is really 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 interesting. The has like the best like cutscenes in the game all revolve around her. Um, but her costume is really freaking stupid,
Oh, it's
and
terrible.
it's terrible. And like they when like on Twitter and stuff like way back when Kojima's like, oh, you'll learn why she dresses like this, and so I know why she dresses like that. I'm not gonna explain it, but it doesn't excuse it. And honestly, like it's a really cool character with a super awful costume design that makes her a worse character because of it. It does become distracting because like when you have these super emotional scenes with her, it's like, oh wow, this is like a really cool scene story wise and character wise, but she's like dressed in a bikini and she's doing bikini pose, model poses and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's really disappointing. I really didn't like that. It really bugged me. Yeah, that I wasn't a fan of. It's just so the characters in the story, and again, I'm not gonna explain the story. They just never live up to being a Metal Gear game, which is kind of weird because I mean I think you playing this and most people playing this were going into like we like Metal Gear games. Like one of the main reasons we like Metal Gear games is because of the story.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And that's
it's,
that's 90% of the reason why I bought it wasn't because open world gameplay. I don't like open world gameplay, which that blew me out of the water when I'm playing it. But I went in
yeah.
like, okay, this is going to kind of complete the Metal Gear story. This is kind of like the last piece of that story. Like I really want to figure out like well, how's like all this tied together, like what's going on with it. That's the piece that I was excited for. So it is weird for
Mhm.
me that at least to the point I'm at now, I'm getting more okay, this gameplay is crazy cool, not oh cool, this is the conclusion of the story I want.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like that. And yeah, and that's basically the long and short of it. Like this game, the gameplay is absolutely incredible. The short story, the story just does not live up to being a Metal Gear game. And it's so weird because this is literally the best game I've ever played. But because of things like, I guess we didn't discuss Mother Base, but Mother Base is just not very fun. It's just a very, very convoluted level up system. The, I guess quickly about Mother Base. Mother Base, they sort of give you the idea that you're raising an army, but you never actually get to take advantage of that army. All that is just like kind of making bars go up faster. Like that's all they're there for. It's like meet requirements to get items and guns. Like you can never. I was thinking that maybe they do something like you could do like Metal Gear Solid 3, like have an Ocelot unit and then
Yeah,
go out with like 5 guys, but you never get that. Like you never. These guys, once you take them away to Mother Base, they just become an Excel spreadsheet
yeah,
like stat based thing, and it never gets beyond that.
yeah. As I say, I haven't touched it at all. It's like, oh, that guy has a high mark in R&D. I'd better trank him and Fulton him out of here so I can get more bonus points for that.
That's like literally all you have to do in the
Yeah,
game. Just like if a guy has a high thing, then just do that. And like the whole Mother Base like area itself is really boring. It's just not an interesting place to explore. Not a lot happens. I don't know.
yeah. It seems like what you're saying is kind of my feelings about this game where I'm at, which is
Hmm.
the gameplay is so good, but it just seems sparse everywhere else. Like they had so much good gameplay, and they knew how good the gameplay is. They just had to spread everything else thin because they wanted to like, we got to pack as much as in here because this is so cool to do. So let's spread the
Yeah.
story thin. Let's add this mother base thing to keep people in the game. Is kind of the feeling I'm getting, at least where I'm at.
Yeah, and that feeling never really goes away, and that it'll stay with you to the end. And I do say the end because I finished the main storyline again. There's a lot of extra stuff afterwards, but I think I put around 45 hours in this. I think I have a general idea of how this game plays. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. It's a really divisive game. I think though, just because I think this is still like I, just because the gameplay is so good, and I honestly think like revolutionary,
Yeah.
you should get this game. Like it's an easy recommendation. If you're a Metal Gear Solid fan, you're going to get the best Metal Gear Solid gameplay that's ever been in any Metal Gear. Like hands, there's no question. It's the best Metal Gear Solid gameplay. If you're expecting a Metal Gear caliber storyline and a Metal Gear Solid caliber characters, that includes like just decent characters, even like those wacky, crazy villains. Like you're just not going to get any of that.
Which is sad.
Yeah, which is a bummer, and it's actually kind of a huge disappointment. It kind of puts a damper on the game. Um, but just because the gameplay, I just honestly just because of the gameplay, this game is worth picking up, and it's honestly like it is one of my favorite games ever. But it's just you can see the potential there for it having if Kojima if there maybe wasn't all these issues, and I'm sure Kojima was at fault for some of these. This really could have been the best game ever created.
Yeah. I think we talked a couple weeks ago about like what is next gen gameplay, and I just think the
Yeah,
fact that the way this game works and that you can do whatever you want and it will
yeah.
still work, that
Hmm.
feels very next gen to me. Because I feel like
Oh
Metal
yeah.
Gear Solid 4 again, you could go running and kill people, wasn't gonna work well for you, and you could sneak in, but you kind of had two choices of path. This, I mean, just the way the entire world is open to any mission and the way you can approach any mission and you can succeed in any mission in any way
Yeah.
is just crazy.
And I like the game's actually really hard too. Like it sounds easy when you say that out loud, like, oh, anything you do will work. But executing it is like a whole other thing.
Yeah,
It's actually like definitely one of the harder Metal Gears because they throw way more like it's kind of funny. A lot of these areas were sort of like were would be final areas in Metal Gear Solid games, but they're just like a normal mission area in the Metal Gear Solid 5.
yeah. I haven't run into too much difficulty, but again, I'm only like on mission
Yeah.
13.
That I will say the story does eventually pick up. It does take like 10 hours for the story to actually start moving. Like
Yeah, we were talking the other day, the part I was at, without really saying
Mhm.
anything, because you know where I was talking about. That felt like the
Yeah.
first time where I felt like something actually happened, and that was about 8 or 9 hours in for me.
Yeah, it's like the Final Fantasy 13. Like Final Fantasy 13 gets really good when you're like 10 hours in.
Yep.
This game starts really good. This game starts really good. The gameplay's really good. Story doesn't go anywhere for a very long time. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got to say about. We were definitely doing a spoiler thing with this
Yeah,
game though.
look for that in a month or two when I actually have time to put in 45 more hours into this.
It does take no, you have like 30 more hours to put into that.
So look for that in about a month when we'll get to that spoiler cast like we did
Hmm.
for Batman. All right, well, we
Yeah.
will be back
Which was fun. I like
later
that.
this
Yeah.
week with some TGS news. So hopefully there's some crazy stuff going on from Sony. I'm excited because, yeah, I want awesome stuff. So we'll talk.